This video is going to go through 9 tips to help you increase that pay packet. G'day everyone, Erin here from Powerstaff Consulting. We do specialist recruitment and executive search for white collar positions around Australia, and I run Powerstaff Consulting along with Ange Brookes here in Adelaide. So this video, as mentioned before, is about asking for a raise. It's about trying to get more money out of your employer and trying to figure out how best to do so. So, you know, this video is going to go over 9 different tips and tricks to try and work your way through that and come out with a higher income at the end of the day. So if we're going to set the scene, you're about to sit down, it comes time for a performance appraisal, and you're going to go through how you've been going for the last 12 months, with the end trying to be able to justify why you should get a salary increase. Now, before we go through that process, there's some things to consider. So number one, if we take into account a simple question, one you may not like, do you deserve it? In order to justify more money, you know, you have to justify performance, situational factors, going over and above, and also you have to be able to research the marketplace and see at any given time what is your market value in the marketplace, not just within the business. So, you know, you want to go to that meeting armed and prepared with information. Now, you can get information about what your value in the marketplace is externally from speaking to people like myself, a specialist recruiter who specializes in a particular type of field that you deal in a particular type of geography, so that the information you get will be accurate. In addition to that, you can also look at things like job boards. They'll be able to give a visual representation of jobs that are currently being advertised, what sort of salaries that they're going to be advertised for, and you know, your goal there is to basically be able to ascertain as much directly applicable information as you can that'll be able to paint a picture as to what a fair market value would be for you at your stage of the career in another business. With this information, you can print it out, you can have it ready to go, and you can bring it to the meeting. It may be salary surveys, it might be printouts of jobs, it could be information that you're aware of from other people within the business, or other peers from other businesses that you're aware of, similar types of sized businesses doing similar sorts of work, and you can have that information ready to speak to your manager. Little disclaimer though, make sure that the information you bring paints the picture you want it to paint. It may not be enough to get the salary increase that you want, but it sure as hell will give some further justification behind the claims you're making to be able to sell the idea of increasing your salary. Maybe you love the people you work with, maybe it's 5 minutes down the road, you know, maybe there are other reasons that you enjoy working there. It's just that they're cheap and they don't like to pay people well. In that sort of situation, you're forced to make a decision. You know, are you going to go somewhere else? And if it's just the money that's holding you back from staying, and you feel that you've had a chat with them and they haven't offered you more money, there are circumstances where potentially getting some interest from an outside party can change their mind. I don't recommend this as a foolproof strategy. In fact, I think it's fraught with danger. There's some pros and cons of going out to the marketplace, speaking with agencies, speaking with employers, and seeing what else is out there. Number one, you might find a job that's great and better for you, where you get valued properly, and you might take that job. Number two, you may find that actually it's not as bad where you were working as you thought it was, and you have a newfound appreciation for it. Number 3, you might find that there's not much of a demand for yourself at the moment, and therefore you've got to be more likely to pick and choose your time a bit better. And number 4, perhaps they come back with an offer from another business, and you can sit down with your employer with something tangible and say, I've been offered a position and now I've got to decide whether I choose to take it or not. I asked you for more money before, you haven't provided me with anything in addition. Would you reconsider doing that? If they did value you, they may all of a sudden start to show it. And if they didn't, then they may let you go. In which case, maybe it's a good outcome. If they do keep you, well, you'll get more money, theoretically. Sure, it's not the greatest for the time invested with the other party that tried to get you on board. But the biggest thing to take into account here is, what have I done with the relationship here? I have, in essence, shown that perhaps I'm not loyal to the business, perhaps I'm on the lookout. Can they see me as a long-term asset to the business anymore? Will they consider me when promotions become available? Work with some of the sensitive information? Will they take time to train you? Will they give you that promotion? Because what I see as a recruiter, I get people jobs, they go to resign, they get talked into counter offers, all of a sudden the world's thrown on the platter for them. Better to stay where they are, they think, so they stay. And then I either get a call in 3 to 6 months saying, get me out of here, or they don't want to tell me because they feel bad for taking that time that was in the last process, so they apply for jobs elsewhere, they deal with other recruiters, and they invariably get a job elsewhere. There are circumstances where people stay, of course, but the percentage of people that you see come back on the market, apply for jobs, all these things after this counter offer process is actually quite high. So there's actually a video about that, and if you have a look through some of the videos we have on offer to look and learn from, there's one related specifically to counter offers. Should you take them? What should you consider? And this will go into a little bit more detail. You know, you have this conversation, you do everything you possibly can to put the best case forward, and perhaps they just don't come to the party with the result that you're looking for. Should that be the case, you can simply say to them, look, I like working here. I appreciate you taking the time to review this with me. Where I need to be at the moment financially, I feel, you know, for where I'm at with my skill set and career and some of my personal commitments, I actually really need to be at a higher amount. So I'm going to continue on as planned, but I have to let you know that, you know, if I do get approached about something at a salary I feel that's reasonable, I might actually have to consider that a lot more closely. Now, what this does is, okay, it puts them on notice. Yeah, there is a risk there because, you know, they don't see you potentially as a long-term asset like we were saying previously, but sometimes it can be enough to make them reconsider their circumstances and value a little bit more. I wouldn't suggest saying this unless you're really ready to make a move. You know, you haven't committed to making a move, but you're ready to. You've had the conversation, you know it's not going anywhere. And you're really just giving them time or yourself time. Then it's time to go out there and start looking around, seeing what's out there. Make sure if you get job offers, make sure they're solid. Never resign before you've got an employment agreement, and make sure that, you know, everything's in place so that if you do choose to leave, you're not going to get burnt. So that's it. Looking to try and get a raise from your employer. This is my suggestion on some different consideration and tactics to take into account. Outside of this, keep in mind, you know, part of all this, it's all connected. Things like our videos on negotiating salaries and things like that will really give you some additional skill sets and knowledge perspective which could be useful. So make sure you check that out. If you've got anything to add, I'd love to hear it. You know, there's a lot of other things that could be said on the topic. Please feel free to comment below. Hit the like button. Please subscribe because you're going to get a lot more content like this that could be valuable across your career, your job hunting, and even if you're looking for staff and trying to qualify good candidates and how to bring them on board and how to attract them. All of that's going to form part of our video library. So yeah, hope to see you in another video. All the best.